shoes, it's in. If wallets, that's out. Yo, lederhosen, in. Brown, that's out. Orange, it's in. Sweatpants, that's out. You silly bitch. Out. In.
The USN Helena is a Tier 7 American light cruiser, and what every Seattle player would rather be playing right now. This ship completely flew under my radar like I was a Russian battleship, not only because I got gifted the Tier 8 Cleveland and therefore had no reason to play Helena, but because if I wanted to play her I would have to buy the Omaha back and play with it enough games to develop the Dallas. Something that I'm sure anyone that has survived the Omaha is already having PTSD from just the thought alone of having to play her again. But also because I have Boise and its DMX version, so why even bother playing the same thing? But then the PEF campaign came, and I got gifted a Dallas, and my Discord kindly reminded me that they do want a review of the Helena, because it's OP, because they want silver ships featured in the reviews to go haha, I have that ship, and because apparently my opinion on ships has become akin to the word of that guy with the extremely sexy beard. Yes, I'm comparing myself to Flamu. What of it? If that surprises you, then I probably haven't made enough posts in Denarmo and his big ego. Back to the review. Considering the shit show that is a 0.8 update and its hot fixes, I might as well play a ship that people consider stupidly strong even right now. So here it is. The Helena review people actually asked for. I know, this is a first one. Don't get used to it. The Helena is a St. Louis class light cruiser. They probably chose Helena instead of the lead ship of the class because having two St. Louis in the game was already confusing enough. And because while one sunk while still being American, the other lived to be transferred to Brazil as the Tamanda, and they already wasted the double nation gimmick with the Boise. This class of light cruisers was developed by the Americans in response to the Mogami class light cruisers of Japan. But like the cool Mogami with the 15 155mm guns, not the stupid refit version with the 203s. Something which seems to be a common theme in Japanese ships, in that they take a perfectly good ship and try to convert it into something else entirely, resulting in either some of the most interesting ships of the era, but also some monstrosities destined to be sunk. Going back to the Helena, either because it's American, or because it's made for Americans, this ship is one tier lower compared to the Mogami, while also having a metric fuck ton of consumables, a shorter reload, and very slightly less health. Its only downsides being the lack of torpedoes and a third turret aimed at the ship itself in case you spot Japanese planes coming towards you, and your DFAA is on cooldown. It comes with two hulls, representing how she was before and after the attack on Pearl Harbor, where she got torped by planes because the Japanese bombers mistakenly confused her with the battleship Pennsylvania, and despite trying to repel the attack with AA fire she took a torpedo to starboard. I guess they hadn't patched in the hotfix yet. Tough luck. So unless you are one of those lunatics that liked playing with stock Fuso, you install the B-hull as fast as you can. Gameplay wise, the Helena is the epitome of an HE spamming cruiser. You can play two very distinct flavors of the ship, the Virgin Island hugging version made for people with no keyboards that rely on the drunk autopilot to find its way to an island, or the chud kitting version, where you drive like you are drunk to confuse the enemy ships shooting at you. In either way, your best bet is to find a position where you are not getting shot at, either by lobbing shells like you are in the playoffs next to an island where inferior ships with flat arcs can't punish you back, or by pushing with other teammates that are kind enough to get shot at. Your shells are very slow, so unless you can predict the future, if you want to hit a DD you have to get uncomfortably close to it. If there are no lollyboats around to bully, you instead try to find the biggest, most stationary target, where you can comfortably land shells on. And that's about it. You keep throwing HE shells, you can even forget you have a number 2 key in your keyboard. You keep spamming fires and pens, becoming a bigger nuisance than the carriers in your match. Speaking of carriers, you have a very powerful suite of AA power at your disposal, not only by virtue of being surrounded by AA guns, but because you have both DFA and fighter planes. But because AA and carriers right now are more constantly changing than the release date of Battlecruiser Alaska, I cannot give any recommendations of whether it's good or not, as my statement could become invalidated next week, only to become right again by the next one. In conclusion, the Helena is a very good silver ship that I'm glad I discovered thanks to all of you pushing me to review it. Enjoy it while it lasts though, as it might get nerfed considering the current trends of the wargaming balancing department. As a side note, if you get this ship and like the gameplay of it, but feel like you could use some extra health, consider checking out the Boise Twins. Much like other premium cruisers, in exchange for a slower reload compared to its silver counterpart, they get a repair party. So even if you shoot slower, you will be able to stay afloat longer to shoot more shells.
Money burns a hole in my money. Burns a hole in my money. Burns a hole in my money. How I wish I had money.